It sounded quite good.
Um, what else do we
A
have?
friend of mine used to call a swivel chair interface,
But if staff don't like it,
something we talk about quite a lot.
so Rockefeller habits,
Rockefeller Habits.
what are they and what does it mean?
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. So recognized companies go through an evolution as they grow, typically 0 to 9 staff, about 1 million, at which point there is typically a transformation of that business, a change in that business, enable them to grow then to 50 staff and 20 million, I think it is. And then there's another transformation that needs to go on where they grow from up to 250 staff and 50 million, I think it
Yeah,
is.
50 million.
There's a book called The Rockefeller Habits, and
Oh, these are the break points
these
in
are the
that.
break points in that book. So these are recognized internationally as companies go through transitions to grow. And you can't, basically what they're saying is you can't just do the same thing, do more of the same thing and expect to grow. You need to change the way you think and do things to enable the next phase of growth.
Right.
And the example they typically use is Netflix. So Netflix started off as Love Films, where they used to post out DVDs. Then they went to streaming service that we all know about. Then they went internationally. And now they've got their own studios, haven't they? So
Make
they're
your own stuff.
evolving over time to grow. And that's,
So the essence of the Rockefeller Habits is that when you get to a certain point in your growth, you've got to start doing something differently. And each the examples you just gave at Netflix was when they got to a certain point and maybe saturated their capabilities or their market, they had to do something different to be able to continue that
yes. And,
growth.
and I think what the Rockefeller Habits is saying is, yes, you need to do something different, but you don't get to that point and then change. You need to recognize that that point comes and you start develop, because it takes a while to develop the new way of
Yeah.
working. So you need to recognize that you're approaching that and start developing a new way of working to take you on to the next phase. Otherwise, it's a very start-stop. Your business dries up or flatlines, and you need to take it on. Don't get to that point. If you want to push past that point, then think about engaging us to help you get ready to go past that point. It would be my take on it. Like I said, you don't just want to get to that point, then think how to go to the next stage. You need to be preparing
Yes.
for a smooth transition. So, yeah, so the typical 10 staff, 50 staff, 250 staff would be, I think that has a more bearing on the complexity of an organization than the turnover, although turnover is easier to measure, isn't it? And where we get involved, so that, like I say, we get involved in that transition or can help them through that transition, and it's a different transition at each stage of a company's growth. So,
So do we want to take them one at a time now? I've got them here just as a
yeah,
bit of a crib sheet. So we're saying when you get to the 9, 10 staff, 1 million, that's when you're thinking to evolve now to the next phase of your journey. And we've got some typical concerns we've noted, things like, and I'll give them to you, then we can talk about them. You don't know what you don't know, something we talk about quite a lot. Um, Mixed answers within the technology, within your own organization. Your tech's becoming maybe quite expensive or more expensive than you think it ought to be. You're thinking about your own platform
yeah,
rather than relying on other people's. Um, and typically, we've got informations in either spreadsheets or the heads of certain individuals.
yeah. So I suppose taking it in reverse order, spreadsheets. A lot of companies are run on spreadsheets. There's only a certain far. There's only so far you can go with running in spreadsheets where it becomes as much of a complex task just managing the spreadsheet
Yeah.
as it is managing the business. And what we'll talk about there is people. So companies will grow and they'll be very reliant on one or two people, and that's their area. But for a company to be sustainable and grow, they need to get the information out of that person's head and systemize it, if you like, get it into a process that other people can follow so that you're not reliant on that one person. Unfortunately, that person might become ill or something. So you don't want the company to be reliant on that one person to grow. So get it out of their head, systemize it, get rid of spreadsheets. Although they're great up to a certain point, you need to get them into a system. People just often don't know what they don't know. And when I say a lot of companies will have as and when, is that what I talked about there? As and when
Yes.
technology. So they'll buy a CRM system, they'll buy, I don't know, a point of sale system, etc., without any thought of how they all might work together, how they might, the benefit of them talking to each other, having that consolidated information and being more efficient.
So this is the opposite of economies of scale, sort of diseconomies of scale. So you buy these things individually and they work fine when you're a relatively small organization, but the diseconomies associated with that as you grow become bigger and bigger and cause more and more problems.
They do, and you might be double entering. So you might have to get the information out of the point of sale system into the finance system. You might have to manually type it in. Well, that's just prone to errors or
Yeah, but what sort of friend of mine used to call a swivel chair interface, where you type it in here and then lean over there and type it in there. And like you say, that's really prone to
yeah.
errors and inconsistencies.
But you can understand how companies get there. They just oh, I need something to do that. I need something to do that. They pick the best one at the time without any thought about how everything hangs together. Um, I think they're the sort of areas
Okay.
we help them pull them together and overcome those challenges.
And then we move on to when you've overcome those challenges, you're continuing to grow, you're going to about 50 staff now. And what's the turnover figure? Around somewhere between 1 and 10 million pounds turnover. We've got, you probably don't have a tech strategy or a roadmap. You're asking one question of different people or different systems and getting different answers. You don't know how to scale your platform. You're not getting reports or dashboards
Yep.
from within the business. And probably encroaching on the area of what I've got the nucleus of a technology team now. What do I do with it? How do I grow it? How do I make it appropriate for my business?
Yeah. So in no particular order, asking one question, getting different answer. The example I always give is you ask your finance system how many staff we've got, and it says 50. You ask your HR system how many staff we got, and it says 45. Well, how many staff do you have?
Yeah.
If you have joined up systems, you get the same answer no matter which system you ask the question of. So the tech strategy is so you've got your systems we talked about to grow to that point, but how do you take it further? So now maybe they're aligned, but now you want to know, what do I need to do to grow? The business is maybe now going international. What's my tech strategy to connect all these things together? You can't do everything overnight. What's the priority? How am I going to buy new systems that link in with what I'm already doing? So if I buy a new CRM system, I need to make sure it ticks a few boxes. It works with my finance system, which might be zero. It does all these sort of things. It works the way I want it to work. So that's what a tech strategy and roadmap will give you.
I think as well, technology decisions at this stage in the game have a greater impact. So when you've only got a handful of staff, if you get a technology decision wrong, it's easy to sort of throw away and start again. Whereas if you're in the next phase of growth, that becomes a much harder decision. So you do need to think about it more strategically and with a longer term
Yeah, I mean,
view.
that's a really good point, isn't it? So I think I would say at this stage, as you rightly say, the technology is very simple. It's getting people. You've got 50 staff now that need to buy into and use that. 'Cause it's all very well spending lots of money on something, but if staff don't like it, then you're wasting your money. So almost, definitely, the way we do it is get those people involved, and it becomes their system, not your system. It's they want it, therefore your investment is used because they want to use the new system. What were the other points we had on there?
Same question, different systems, scaling platforms, lack of business dashboards and reports.
Yeah, so dashboards and reports, a lot of companies at this stage now want to have real-time reporting on the information that their combined systems can give them, so they know at any point in instant how many widgets they're building or where staff are, where vans are, all that sort of thing. I would say real-time reporting, management information. Um, Also, now is a point where maybe they've developed a system that's just been, shall we say, cobbled together. Now they want to make it more professional, more sustainable, make it international, and that involves maybe a ground up rebuild. It's not like building a house; you have to get the foundations right before you go up.
I think with dashboards as well, there's a phase in an organization's growth where you start off wanting to know information, like your financial information, obviously, is where you start from, stock levels, whatever it might be. But as you grow and your customer base grows, you want to generate more insight from your business, not just tell me the facts, but actually give me some insight into what's going, which product lines are profitable, which aren't, and which is not always as obvious as you might think it is.
Yeah, and forecasting. Yeah, you're right, totally. So forecasting what's profitable, where are we going? Having some technology that might be able to extrapolate that
Yeah.
information and forecast what the future might look like, and that brings us on to AI, doesn't it? And not necessarily you implement AI, but that's where most people think about it is how what should we be doing better? As you rightly say, dashboards probably bring into the fact that there's lots of hidden costs when you're making and building things, and gives you the true cost of everything, so you can make real decisions, can't you?
Yes.
Something you think might be profitable, when you factor in all the hidden costs, might suddenly think, oh, it's not as profitable as we thought.
It's surprising how often that comes up, actually. Surprising how often. The third stage, right? So we're sort of 250 staff, 50 million quid plus turnover. We're certainly on the larger side of SME
Yep.
now.
At which point they've probably got their own internal IT staff, maybe some internal developers, but there's only a few, so they might not be managed that well. Certainly don't have some sort of career plan or anything. So,
So the sorts of things we've noted, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just some of the key things. We're reaching the point where we need tech opinion on the board. It's no longer just part of the business. It's integral to the business. The tech team, as you've just said, scalability of that might need gravitas for investment rounds, the tech gravitas for investment rounds, if that's on the cards. And we're looking at innovation now at that level that will start to help grow the business, where tech innovation is actually growing the business or making the business more profitable.
yeah, so the fact that there is tech or needs to be tech input at the board level is because of the innovation, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's how you can drive the business forward. Modern businesses, mm, um, tech is an enabler of profit, not a cost center, as most people. It's not a drain. It can actually add value and increase profit to the company. So that's why they need to be at the board to drive that innovation, to drive that ways of thinking. Investment as well. So I wouldn't just say it's maybe investment for outward investment. Maybe now the company's grown and maybe the founder is thinking of exiting. So having investors, spoken to so many investment managers, and the business case might be sound, but they want to see that the board is well rounded and has everything covered. So having someone with that sort of gravitas at the board level that will persuade investors, people buying the company or just investing money in it, that actually their money is going to be well spent and they're buying a scalable company, as it were. So that's where we help. The rest is tech. We can be that. We've been there, done it, so we can be that sound.
Yeah. So as we said, these aren't the only times you think about engaging with the rest of tech. Um, But these are critical points in growth. That's a time where we can come in and as a significant amount of value. This is going to go on to that, what does a typical engagement look like? Well, let's park that for another day for now.
Yeah. Okay. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.